The morning sun barely broke through the gray clouds over Willow Creek Estates, but I already knew it was going to be a bad day. My daughter, Lily, 15, and bound to her wheelchair since a car accident 2 years ago, was stuck in our driveway again. Someone had tampered with the screws on her ramp overnight, leaving her stranded and late for school. As I grabbed my toolbox, her frustrated sigh cut deeper than any blade. "Dad, why does she hate us?" Lily asked, her eyes fixed on the pristine house across the street. Margaret Hensley, the HOA president, stood at her window, sipping coffee, watching our struggle like it was her morning entertainment. I tightened the bolts and tested the ramp. "Some people can't handle different," I said. "But we're staying put, kiddo." Willow Creek was supposed to be our Havana-gated community in suburban Ohio where Lily could thrive. Instead, it had become a battlefield. For 3 months, Margaret had waged a campaign against us. Complaints about our ramp, snide comments about Lily's wheelchair, even a petition to force us out. I'd had enough. After dropping Lily at school, I drove to the county office and pulled every record I could: property deeds, building permits, HOA bylaws. The clerk, Mrs. Torres, raised an eyebrow. "Most folks just yell and leave. You're building a case." She wasn't wrong. Back home, I spread the documents across my kitchen table. Margaret had filed 19 complaints against us in 14 weeks, but her violations were worse: an unpermitted gazebo, an illegal fence, and a driveway expansion that blocked our drainage easement, flooding our basement last month. Then my phone rang. "Mr. Carter, this is Margaret Hensley from the HOA," she said, her voice dripping with false authority. "Your ramp is an eyesore. Remove it, or we'll sue." I clenched my jaw. "Lily needs that ramp to live, Margaret. It's protected by federal law." She laughed coldly. "We'll see. You've got 30 days. That night, Lily came home quiet, her usual spark gone. Over dinner, she admitted kids at school were whispering that we didn't belong in a nice neighborhood, that she was broken. My heart shattered. "You're the strongest person I know," I told her, but I saw the doubt in her eyes. Margaret's poison was spreading. The next morning, a certified letter arrived, an HOA violation notice, and a petition signed by 10 neighbors demanding we leave. I recognized names: people who'd smiled at us, brought casseroles when we moved in. I called Mrs. Larson, a neighbor I thought was kind. "Margaret said you were turning your house into a medical facility," she stammered. We didn't want trouble. It hit me then. Margaret wasn't just cruel, she was strategic, using lies to turn the community against us. I dug deeper, researching her online. She'd driven out families with disabled kids in 2 other neighborhoods. 5 years ago, she'd protested a group home for disabled adults. This wasn't personal, it was a pattern. Then came the worst day. Lily screamed tore through the house at 7 a.m. I found her in the backyard, her wheelchair chained to the fence with heavy steel links and 3 padlocks. She was shaking, trapped like an animal. "Dad, I've been stuck for 20 minutes, she sobbed. Across the yard, Margaret stood on her deck, pruning roses, her face smug. "Looks like someone taught her to stay put," she called out. Rage surged, but I kept calm for Lily. I grabbed bolt cutters and called 911. Neighbors gathered, some horrified, others silent. Margaret played innocent, blaming teenage vandals. Officer Daniels arrived, his face grim. "These are professional-grade chains," he said. This wasn't kids. But without witnesses, he couldn't pin it on her. That night, I installed security cameras and started logging every incident. Then Lily's school called someone had filed a Child Protective Services complaint, claiming I was using Lily's disability to manipulate the neighborhood. The CPS worker, Ms. Reynolds, toured our home. Lily showed her the accessible kitchen, her gym, and her independence. "Whoever filed this doesn't know you," Ms. Reynolds said, closing the case. But the damage was done. Lily asked, "Dad, do we have to move?" I hugged her. "Never. We're fighting smart." My research revealed Margaret wasn't just a resident, she ran a property management company tied to multiple HOAs, with a financial stake in keeping Willow Creek premium. She'd targeted 47 families across 5 years, always the vulnerable, disabled, elderly, minorities. I filed complaints at the courthouse for her property violations and harassment, then called contacts I'd avoided for months. I'd moved here to be just Tom Carter, Lily's dad, not the man I was. But Margaret had gone too far. The next morning, Lily's wheelchair lift broke. The technician found sugar in the motor, sabotage costing $3,000. I noticed Margaret's nephew, a teen who'd been near our house the night Lily was chained. Dots connected. Then Margaret struck again, filing a restraining order against me, claiming I'd stalked her. At the courthouse, I presented my evidence, photos, recordings, timelines. The judge denied her order, granted mine, and ordered an investigation into the HOA. As we left, Margaret cornered us. "This isn't over, Tom." I smiled and showed her my phone, a text from my contact. "Federal agents arrive tomorrow. Game on." At dawn, Lily's screams woke me again. She was chained to her wheelchair in the driveway, padlocks tighter than before. Margaret watched from her porch, sipping tea. "You brought this on yourself," she hissed. I cut the chains, my hands shaking, and made a call I'd avoided for 18 months. "Lisa, get me Attorney General Brooks and FBI Director Hayes. Now." Within 2 hours, 3 black SUVs rolled into Willow Creek. Federal agents swarmed Margaret's property. Attorney General Brooks approached her. "Mrs. Hensley, we're investigating civil rights violations, disability discrimination, and unlawful restraint of a minor." Margaret stammered. "Who called you?" Brooks pointed to me. "Governor Tom Carter requested it." Lily's eyes widened. "Governor? Dad, you're the governor." I nodded. "I wanted us to have a normal life, no politics. But I'm done playing nice." Margaret's face went pale. "He's just a single dad." Brooks shook his head. "Governor Carter has led this state for 3 years." FBI agents cuffed Margaret, her silk robe replaced by steel. Neighbors watched, some cheering, others filming. Mrs. Larson hugged Lily, tears streaming. The agents found files in Margaret's home detailing harassment plans against 47 families. She'd orchestrated a network of discrimination across multiple HOAs. 6 months later, Margaret was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison and 5 years probation. Willow Creek's HOA was dissolved, reformed with a focus on inclusion. Lily started a nonprofit, Wheels of Justice, to help disabled kids fight housing discrimination. One evening, as we sat on our ramp watching the sunset, she said, "Dad, I'm glad you waited to use your governor powers. Now I know you'd fight for me even as just my dad." I smiled. "Always, kiddo. Love doesn't need a title to win." What do you think about Margaret's actions and the injustice Lily faced? Have you seen similar struggles in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss how we confront cruelty and fight for fairness. Your voice matters.